If you just got the iPhone 14 Pro and if you're still wondering if you need also an action camera, this video will be perfect for you, because I'm going to compare the iPhone 14 Pro with the Dji Action 3. And to do that, I will compare the two devices in several categories, like image quality, design and mounting option, stabilization and much more. And for each category, I will give a point to one device. So at the end of the video, we can compare the point of each device and we can define which is better for your needs. Keep in mind that if you want to skip from a section to the other one, you can find all the chapters below. But before starting, let me say hi, my name is Alessandro and I'm from Italy, and I hope that you like the rest of the video. So let's start the first topic talking about the price, because you know that the iPhone starts from $999, so almost $1,000, while you can get the Action 3 from $329 if you get only the camera body, or $449 if you get the Combo Adventure, that is the kit that I recommend to you. If we add a micro SD card of 128 gigs to match the starting price of the iPhone, we have to add other $19, so at the end of this sum, the difference will be between $550 and $650. So you can perfectly understand that the difference is pretty huge, but you have to take in mind that the iPhone is also a phone, but I think that the difference is still huge. So on the price categories, my point goes to the Action 3. But before talking about the image quality about the iPhone 14 Pro and the Action 3, let's talk about for a minute about the weight and the size of each device. One of the biggest advantages that the iPhone 14 Pro has compared to the Action 3 is that it has a huge screen. But the Action 3 has two screens, one on the back and one on the front, that are both completely touchscreen. And this feature is super helpful when you have to film yourself. Then about the weight, the difference is pretty relevant. And especially if you plan to mount one device on your helmet, for example, the difference in weight is relevant, because imagine that you mount on your helmet an heavy iPhone. The difference will be noticeable. Also with the Action 3 and with the addition of the selfie stick provided by DJI, you can get a full body shot using the Invisi stick effect. And if you want to know more about this feature, you can find my dedicated video here or in the link below. Also, it's worth mentioning that with the addition of the frame on the Action 3, you can easily mount the camera horizontally and vertically. And also, since the Action 3 has a magnetic mount, you can easily change the position of the camera from your helmet, for example, to a selfie stick. If you want to do a similar type of job with an iPhone, you need a bulky mount that is a clamp, but if you want to have a quality clamp, you have to choose a steel clamp, and this will add other weight to the setup. Lastly, the Action 3 is a lot more rugged compared to the iPhone, because of course on an iPhone you can add a tempered glass, but you can replace the lens if for whatever reason gets scratched, while on the Action 3 you can easily unscrew the lens and replace with another one. So about these categories, a clear point to the Action 3. So let's finally talk about image quality, starting with videos. And to do that, I'm going to talk about dynamic range, colors, frame per second and performance in low light. About the dynamic range, so the capability to retain information both in the highlights and both in the shadows, I prefer the Action 3 because it can shoot in HDR video, and the dynamic range in some cases is actually more compared to the iPhone 14 Pro. Unfortunately though, we have some limitation because we can shoot in HDR up to 4K up to 30 frames per second. But if you want to know more about this topic, you can check out my full video here or in the link below. About the colors, I also prefer the Action 3 because overall can deliver a more natural look, and I also prefer the way that the Action 3 renders skin tones. That is one of the most important things about colors. About the frame per second, the Action 3 wins hands down, because this camera can go up to 4K up to 120 frames per second, while on the iPhone 14 Pro we can go up to 4K but only up to 60 frames per second. Then about the low light videos, I think that here the iPhone 14 Pro excel compared to the Action 3, because with all the three lenses can produce a brighter image and with less noise. But the problem of the iPhone 14 Pro is that you can choose the shutter speed, and this is really important, especially when you're shooting in low light, because sometimes if you are walking or if you're doing shaky activities with too much energy, you can have blurry videos. So in these categories the iPhone remain my favorite, but if you are a little bit more expert, I think that you should use the Action 3, because you can remove the noise in post-production but you can fix a blurred video. It is worth mentioning that the iPhone 14 Pro can shoot in other modes such as the cinematic mode, but overall about the video image quality my point goes to the Action 3. So about the photo image quality, both devices can shoot in RAW, but the iPhone 14 Pro has one big advantage, the HDR also in photos. In fact, if you take a closer look about these images shooted side by side with the iPhone 14 Pro and the Action 3, you can see that the iPhone 14 Pro has a more dynamic range compared to the Action 3. And due to the HDR, also in the low light, the iPhone 14 Pro produces less noise compared to the Action 3. Then if we add that with the iPhone 14 Pro, we can shoot also with the portrait mode. For photo image quality, my point goes to the iPhone 14 Pro. So let's now talk about lenses and the field of view. At first glance, you may think that the iPhone 14 Pro wins hands down because it has 4 lenses in certain cases versus only one lens on the Action 3. But one advantage of the Action 3 is that the ultra-wide lens is wider in every setting, because you can go from D-warp to ultra-wide. And if we compare the ultra-wide field of view with the 0.5x, that is the widest field of view on the iPhone 14 Pro, the difference is huge. But despite this wider lens, my point goes to the iPhone 14 Pro, because you can simply beat 4 lenses with only one. And also, if you think to use the digital zoom on the Action 3, it is absolutely trash compared to the optical lens on the 14 Pro. Okay, it's time to talk about stabilization, because on both devices we have different type of stabilization that we can choose. On the Action 3 we have Rocksteady Plus, Horizon Balancing and Horizon Steady, while on the iPhone 14 Pro we have the regular stabilization and the Action mode. That is a new feature only on the iPhone 14. And if you want to know more about the Action mode, I've already created a video that you can check out here or as always in the link below. Overall guys, after several tests, I think that the stabilization on the Action 3 is better compared to the iPhone 14 Pro. It's true that with the Action mode the difference between an action camera and a phone is closer than ever, but when the action is really shaky, the Action 3 still performs a more stabilized image. Also, with the Action 3 we can choose to have the horizon completely balanced or up to 45 degrees with the horizon steady or with the horizon balancing. And this feature is super helpful when you are filming something, because you can focus on your activity and not on the shot. So about the stabilization, my point goes to the Action 3. On both devices you can add an external mic, but the way that you can achieve this type of result is different, because on the Action 3 you will need an adapter from a TRS cable to a USB-C port, while on the iPhone 14 Pro you need an adapter from a TRS cable to a Lightning port. I prefer though the Action 3 because it has less limitation, because for example with the iPhone 14 Pro, if you're using the DJI mic with 2 transmitters, you can have the split channel on the right and the left channel. You can do with the Raw Wireless Go because it uses a digital cable, but with the Action 3 you don't have any limitation whatsoever. So for this reason my point on the external mic goes again to the Action 3. But of course you can use the internal mics of these two devices. The problem is that this is a very complicated topic to cover in only one video. So for this video alone I'm going to tell you my best setting for both devices. But if you want to know more about this topic, let me know in a comment below, because I'd like to share my tests with you. So the best settings for the Action 3 is stereo channel, wind noise reduction on and directional audio off, while with the iPhone 14 Pro we have only one setting to change, and I suggest you to leave on the stereo sound. The reason why I came to this setting is because I've tested in several conditions inside and outside, and above all I can say that the internal microphone of the Action 3 sounds a little bit better in almost every scenario that I've tested. The difference though is not huge, but my point goes to the Action 3. Let's now talk for a bit about the underwater shooting, because in theory both devices can go underwater, and I've seen online a lot of testing where people using the iPhone in salt water. But the fact that the iPhone has the Lightning port full exposed makes me wonder if it's a good idea to use a $1,000 phone underwater. Instead, the Action 3 is rated to go underwater up to -60 meters. In fact, you can see that all the ports are sealed. For this reason, my clear point goes to the DJI Action 3 once again. So guys, after all of this, if we count the overall score about the two devices, we are 7 points for the Action 3 and only 2 points for the iPhone 14 Pro. So this means that the Action 3 is better than the iPhone 14 Pro? Absolutely not. In fact, I think that the iPhone 14 Pro is a fantastic device that can do most of the things that the Action Free can do. So, to be clearer, I think that you can skip to buy an Action Free if you already have an iPhone 14 Pro. But if you take a closer look to the categories where the Action Free excel, you'll probably recognize that there is still room for an Action Free in 2023. And unfortunately, I think that this will be true also in the future, because you can simply beat a smaller size and a lighter weight of an action camera compared to the big and expensive phone. So tell me in a comment below if you agree with me, and if I could help you to choose one device or the other, drop a like to this video and subscribe to this channel to see more content like this. Also follow me on Instagram to see what is coming next on this channel. And if you want to support my work as a content creator, you can buy one of my presets, because for all the photos that you have just seen, I've used the classic preset and the iPhone preset. I can't wait to see you in the next one. Bye!